What if I told you that everything you've been taught about Kundalini is not just incomplete, but dangerously wrong? What if I told you that this ancient practice was never meant for the masses, and that forcing it could destroy your mind, your body, and your soul? But deep down, you've always felt something was missing from all those YouTube tutorials and weekend workshops, haven't you? You've sensed that the real knowledge was being hidden from you. Stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to reveal could change everything you thought you knew about spiritual awakening. This isn't just philosophy. This isn't just theory. This is the forbidden knowledge that ancient masters died protecting, and modern gurus make millions selling you the watered-down version of. Welcome, seeker of hidden truths, to a journey that could transform your entire existence. I'm about to take you behind the veil of one of humanity's most powerful and most dangerous spiritual practices. By the end of this revelation, you'll understand why true Kundalini awakening was reserved for only the most prepared souls, and why attempting it without proper understanding has left thousands spiritually wounded. Have you ever wondered why some people have profound spiritual experiences while others, following the exact same practices, end up in psychiatric wards? Have you ever questioned why ancient texts speak of Kundalini as both a blessing and a curse? The answer lies in what they're not telling you about the real nature of this cosmic force. Let me stop you right there if you think Kundalini is just about chakras and energy work. That's exactly what they want you to believe. The commercialized version you see everywhere is like giving someone a loaded weapon and telling them it's a toy. The real Kundalini isn't just energy. It's the fundamental creative force of the universe itself, coiled within your spine, waiting for the right moment to either elevate you to godhood or completely obliterate your human identity. When was the last time you felt truly alive? I mean completely, overwhelmingly alive in every cell of your being. Most people never experience this because they're operating on maybe 5% of their spiritual capacity. But here's what they don't tell you. Accessing that other 95% isn't just difficult. It's potentially catastrophic if you're not ready. The ancient Sanskrit texts describe Kundalini as she who lies coiled. But coiled where? And why? They tell us it's sleeping at the base of the spine, but they never explain that it's not sleeping. It's imprisoned, deliberately contained by cosmic intelligence, because unleashing it prematurely is like detonating a nuclear reactor inside your nervous system. Carl Jung spent decades studying this phenomenon. He called it the transcendent function and warned that premature activation could lead to what he termed psychotic inflation. Jung witnessed patients who attempted to force Kundalini awakening without proper preparation. Some never recovered. They became lost in realms of consciousness their human minds couldn't navigate. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Jung also documented cases of spontaneous Kundalini awakening in people who had never heard the word. Housewives in Switzerland, factory workers in Germany, people with no spiritual background suddenly experiencing cosmic consciousness, speaking in tongues, having visions that matched ancient mystical texts word for word. This led Jung to a terrifying conclusion. Kundalini isn't something we activate. It activates us when it chooses, when we're ready, and attempting to force it is like trying to command lightning. You're not crazy for feeling drawn to this knowledge. That pull you feel, that deep knowing that there's more to existence than what you've been told, that's real. But the path to accessing it safely requires understanding what every ancient tradition knew, but modern spirituality has forgotten. Let's go deeper into the real story, the one that's been hidden from you. The word Kundalini comes from the Sanskrit kundal, meaning coil. But the ancient masters weren't just describing physical coiling. They were describing the coiling of space-time itself within your body. Modern quantum physics is just beginning to understand what yogis knew 5,000 years ago. That consciousness and matter are the same thing, and that human beings are walking, breathing quantum field generators. Dr. David Bohm, the renowned quantum physicist, proposed that the universe is a hologram where each part contains the whole. The ancient Kundalini texts describe the exact same thing. That within each human spine lies the entire cosmic blueprint, coiled and waiting for activation. But here's the part that will blow your mind. Activation isn't about techniques. It's about worthiness. The ancient gurus didn't teach Kundalini practices to just anyone. Students spent decades proving their mental stability, emotional maturity, and spiritual dedication before even learning the basic theory. Why? Because Kundalini awakening isn't an experience. It's a permanent transformation. Once that cosmic serpent rises, there's no going back. You don't return to your old self. The old self dies permanently. Think about this for a moment. How many people do you know who are emotionally stable enough to handle their current life challenges? How many people do you know who can manage their anger, their fears, their desires without being overwhelmed? Now imagine those same people trying to handle the dissolution of their ego structure, while cosmic energy rewrites their entire nervous system. This is why ancient traditions had such strict requirements. It wasn't elitism. It was protection. Protection for the student and protection for society. Because a person going through uncontrolled Kundalini awakening can become a danger to themselves and others. Gopi Krishna, one of the most documented cases of spontaneous Kundalini awakening in modern times, wrote about his experience. For months, he felt like molten metal was flowing through his spine. He couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't function normally. Why? He described feeling like his head was on fire 24 hours a day. And this went on for years before it stabilized. But here's what's even more fascinating. During this period of apparent torture, Krishna began demonstrating extraordinary abilities. He could compose poetry in languages he'd never learned. He developed profound insights into the nature of consciousness that matched the most advanced spiritual texts. His IQ seemed to increase dramatically. The ancient texts describe this exact phenomenon. They call it tapas, the burning. It's the process by which the human nervous system is rewired to handle cosmic consciousness. But they also warn that not everyone survives this process intact. You've probably heard modern teachers say that Kundalini awakening is safe if you just follow their system. Let me tell you something. Anyone who says that either doesn't understand what they're talking about, or they're selling you something. Real Kundalini awakening has never been safe. It's not supposed to be safe. It's supposed to be complete transformation at the deepest level possible. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. It means it requires a level of preparation that most people aren't willing to undertake. And here's the secret they don't want you to know. The preparation is more important than the awakening itself. The next part is where it gets really wild. Ancient Kundalini masters identified specific signs that indicated whether someone was ready for this transformation. These weren't arbitrary requirements. They were based on thousands of years of observation about who survived the process and who didn't. First sign: complete emotional stability under extreme stress. Not just staying calm when things are good, but maintaining inner peace when your world is falling apart. The masters would deliberately create challenging situations to test this stability. Second sign: the ability to spend long periods alone without going insane. Kundalini awakening involves extended periods of isolation as your consciousness expands beyond normal human parameters. If you can't handle solitude now, you definitely can't handle the cosmic loneliness that comes with expanded awareness. Third sign: demonstrated service to others without expectation of reward. This wasn't about being nice. It was about proving that your ego had been sufficiently dissolved to handle cosmic power without becoming corrupted by it. Fourth sign: direct experience of non-ordinary states of consciousness through meditation, not drugs. The masters needed to see that you could navigate altered states and return safely to normal consciousness at will. But here's what modern spirituality gets completely wrong. They think these requirements were outdated, cultural limitations. They're not. They're based on the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. Dr. Stanislav Grof, who spent decades researching non-ordinary states of consciousness, documented what he called spiritual emergencies. These are cases where people attempt spiritual practices beyond their capacity and end up in psychological crisis. The symptoms match exactly what ancient texts describe as unprepared Kundalini awakening. Grof found that people who had strong ego structures, good support systems, and extensive preparation in consciousness work were much more likely to navigate spiritual emergencies successful. Those who lacked these foundations often required psychiatric intervention. What I'm about to share is not for everyone, but if you've made it this far, you're probably one of the few who can handle it. The real reason Kundalini was kept secret wasn't to maintain power. It was to maintain cosmic order. The ancient masters understood something that modern science is just discovering: that consciousness isn't produced by the brain. Consciousness is the fundamental field of existence, and the brain is just a receiver. When Kundalini activates, it doesn't just change your personal consciousness. It connects you directly to the cosmic consciousness field. You become a walking, breathing portal between dimensions of reality. And not everyone can handle being a multidimensional being while still maintaining a human body. This is why so many people who experience spontaneous Kundalini awakening report feeling like they're losing their minds. In a very real sense, they are. The limited human mind is being dissolved and replaced with cosmic mind. If this happens too quickly or without proper preparation, the person can become lost between dimensions. But for those who are properly prepared, Kundalini awakening represents the next stage of human evolution. These individuals develop abilities that seem impossible from a normal human perspective. Enhanced intuition, the ability to perceive energy fields, spontaneous healing abilities, and most importantly, direct knowing of cosmic truths. Tesla experienced this. Einstein experienced this. Jung experienced this. Every major breakthrough in human consciousness has come from individuals who accessed this cosmic consciousness field, whether they called it Kundalini or something else. Have you ever noticed that your most profound insights come not from thinking, but from moments when your mind is completely quiet? That's a glimpse of what full Kundalini activation provides: permanent access to the field of infinite intelligence. But here's the crucial point that changes everything. You don't need to force Kundalini awakening. In fact, forcing it is the worst thing you can do. Instead, you need to create the conditions where it can awaken naturally and safely. Think of it like preparing soil for a garden. You don't force plants to grow. You create the perfect conditions and allow natural processes to unfold. The ancient masters developed specific practices not to awaken Kundalini, but to prepare the body, mind, and spirit to handle awakening when it naturally occurs. These practices include deep meditation, ethical living, service to others, study of consciousness, and most importantly, the cultivation of surrender. Surrender is the key that unlocks everything. Not surrender as defeat, but surrender as alignment with cosmic will. When you stop trying to control the process and instead align yourself with the natural flow of cosmic consciousness, Kundalini begins to stir on its own. This is why all authentic spiritual traditions emphasize devotion and surrender before they teach advanced practices. It's not about worshiping a deity. It's about dissolving the ego's need to control everything so that cosmic intelligence can work through you. But surrender doesn't mean becoming passive. It means becoming an active participant in your own evolution while allowing cosmic intelligence to guide the process. It's like learning to dance with the universe instead of trying to lead. Right now, in this moment, as you're listening to this, Kundalini is responding to the information you're receiving. Knowledge itself is a form of energy, and when you truly understand something at a deep level, it changes your consciousness permanently. The question isn't whether you'll experience some form of Kundalini activation in your lifetime. If you're drawn to this knowledge, you probably will. The question is whether you'll be prepared when it happens. This is the part that changed everything for me. 3 years ago, I thought I understood Kundalini. I had read all the books, attended workshops, practiced various techniques. I thought I was ready. Then one night during meditation, something shifted. Not gradually, instantly. It felt like a bolt of cosmic lightning struck the base of my spine and shot straight through the top of my head. For the next 6 months, I lived in what can only be described as a permanent altered state. Colors were impossibly vivid. I could sense the energy fields of every living thing around me. I would have spontaneous visions of past lives, future possibilities, and cosmic truths I had no context for understanding. But here's the part no one talks about. It was terrifying. Not because the experiences were negative, but because they were so far beyond my normal human reference points that I had no way to integrate them. I felt like I was going insane, even though intellectually I knew I was experiencing something profound. This went on for months. I couldn't function normally. Work became impossible. Relationships became strained because I was operating from a completely different level of consciousness than the people around me. I began to understand why ancient masters required years of preparation before allowing Kundalini practices. But something interesting happened around the 6-month mark. The intensity began to stabilize. Not diminish, but stabilize. I learned to function in ordinary reality while maintaining access to expanded consciousness. The key was learning to move fluidly between different levels of awareness, depending on what the situation required. This is what the ancient texts mean when they talk about integration. It's not just about having mystical experiences. It's about learning to live as a multidimensional being in a three-dimensional world. And here's what I discovered that no book or teacher had ever told me. Once Kundalini is fully activated and integrated, you don't just access cosmic consciousness. You become a conduit for cosmic consciousness to express itself in the physical world. You become a bridge between dimensions. Your very presence begins to awaken consciousness in others. Your words carry a different frequency. Your actions are guided by cosmic intelligence rather than limited human thinking. But this level of transformation requires complete surrender of who you thought you were. The person I was before Kundalini activation doesn't exist anymore. Not because something was destroyed, but because something was revealed that was always there but hidden. You're about to discover something that 99% of people never realize. The reason most people never experience full Kundalini awakening isn't because they're not spiritual enough or haven't practiced enough techniques. It's because they're not willing to completely surrender their human identity. We want the expanded consciousness, the special abilities, the cosmic connection, but we want to keep our human personality intact. That's like wanting to become a butterfly while insisting on remaining a caterpillar. The transformation requires the dissolution of the old form. This is why Kundalini awakening has traditionally been associated with the death and rebirth archetype. You literally die to who you were and are reborn as who you've always been at the deepest level. But that death, even though it's symbolic, feels completely real when you're going through it. Most people reach this threshold and back away. They sense that moving forward means the end of their familiar self, and fear takes over. This is completely natural and nothing to be ashamed of. Not everyone is meant to make this journey in this lifetime, but for those who are ready, for those who have done the necessary preparation work, for those who can surrender completely to the cosmic process, Kundalini awakening represents the most profound gift imaginable. You become who you were always meant to be. You access abilities that were always yours, but hidden. You connect with cosmic intelligence that was always available, but blocked by the limitations of ordinary human consciousness. And here's the beautiful paradox. In losing your limited human identity, you discover your unlimited cosmic identity. In dying to who you thought you were, you're born into who you really are. But let me be absolutely clear about something crucial. This process cannot be rushed. It cannot be forced. It cannot be scheduled. Kundalini awakening happens according to cosmic timing, not human timing. Your job isn't to make it happen. Your job is to be ready when it does. And being ready means more than just learning techniques or having mystical experiences. Being ready means becoming the kind of person who can handle cosmic consciousness responsibly. Someone who has transcended ego, drives for power, recognition, and control. Someone who genuinely cares more about serving cosmic evolution than personal gain. This is why authentic Kundalini masters often appear so ordinary. They're not trying to impress anyone or prove anything. They're simply living as clear channels for cosmic intelligence to express itself through human form. So, how do you prepare? How do you become ready for this cosmic transformation without falling into the trap of spiritual ego or trying to force something that must unfold naturally? Here's the secret practice that changes everything. Start paying attention to the quality of your consciousness, moment by moment. Not your thoughts, not your emotions, not your experiences, but the awareness that observes all of these things. That awareness, that's you. That's who you really are beneath all the personality layers and life stories and spiritual seeking. That awareness is already cosmic consciousness. It's already connected to the infinite field of intelligence. It's already perfect and complete. Kundalini, awakening, isn't about gaining something new. It's about remembering what you already are, clearing away everything that blocks your natural state of cosmic consciousness. Every moment of your life is an opportunity to choose. Will you identify with the limited human story, or will you identify with the unlimited cosmic awareness that's observing the story? The more consistently you identify with awareness itself, rather than the contents of awareness, the more naturally Kundalini begins to stir. Not because you're doing anything to activate it, but because you're removing the barriers that were keeping it dormant. This is the real preparation, not special breathing techniques, or complex visualizations, or exotic practices. Simply learning to rest as the awareness you already are. And from this place of pure awareness, if cosmic intelligence determines that full Kundalini activation serves your highest evolution and the evolution of consciousness itself, it will happen naturally. And when it does, you'll be ready because you'll already know who you really are. But here's what you need to understand right now, in this moment. Whether or not you ever experience full Kundalini awakening, you can begin living from cosmic consciousness immediately, because cosmic consciousness isn't something you achieve. It's what you are when all the barriers are removed. Every time you act from love instead of fear, you're expressing cosmic consciousness. Every time you respond from wisdom instead of reaction, you're channeling cosmic intelligence. Every time you serve something greater than your personal desires, you're aligning with cosmic will. The advanced practices, the mystical experiences, the supernatural abilities, these are just bonuses. The real gift is discovering that you already have access to infinite love, infinite wisdom, infinite creativity right here, right now, in this moment. And that access doesn't depend on having the perfect meditation practice or the right teacher or special initiations. It depends on your willingness to let go of everything you think you know about who you are and what's possible. This is the real secret of Kundalini that they don't want you to know. It's not about becoming someone special or different. It's about discovering that what you've always been is already infinitely more magnificent than anything you could ever become. Right now, cosmic consciousness is reading these words through your eyes. Cosmic intelligence is understanding these concepts through your mind. Cosmic love is feeling moved by this information through your heart. You don't need to wait for some future awakening experience. You don't need special permission or perfect preparation. You are already the cosmic consciousness you're seeking to awaken. The only question is, are you ready to stop limiting yourself to the small human story and start living as the infinite being you've always been? If your heart is saying yes, if something deep inside you is recognizing the truth of what you're hearing, then you're ready to begin this journey consciously, not by forcing experiences or following complicated systems, but by simply and consistently choosing to identify with the cosmic consciousness that you already are. This is your invitation to stop seeking and start being, to stop becoming and start remembering. to stop trying to awaken Kundalini and start recognizing that Kundalini is simply the cosmic energy of your own true nature, expressing itself through human form. The journey begins now, with your next breath, your next choice, your next moment of awareness. Everything you need is already within you. Everything you're seeking is already who you are. Welcome to the real story of Kundalini. The story of remembering yourself as cosmic consciousness itself.